first standalone session of the day, titled A New Era of Cloud Transformation. What's now and next? And for this session, we would like to invite Amit Kumar, Director, Google Cloud India. Please join me in welcoming him up on the stage.
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be a tough act to follow, coming right after the Honorable Minister, but I'll do my best. I have some fond memories of this place, of this area. I started selling my career in Delhi, and I used to have Connaught Place as an area which I used to cover. So I have been around this area, and the sweets at Bengali market was a good, refreshing, and the chaat and pakoras at Bengali market was a very refreshing lunch break that I used to deservingly take. So I would encourage all of you, while you go back, if you've not seen those places, go wander around and take a little bit of a look. There's a lot of history, there's a lot of fun there. My name is Amit, part of the Google Cloud team. I am fortunate to be running a business or a part of a business that interacts with India's budding startup ecosystem. So I am responsible in my personal capacity as the leader of the startup and the digital natives team. But I'm going to talk to you about a broader topic today. I have chosen to dive deep rather than Google Cloud more on the AI topic, as it is a very topical topic of interest to everyone, and I'm going to share a few perspectives. But before that, let me take a few minutes to talk about what we've been up to in Google Cloud, the momentum we've seen, the kind of work we are doing. So Google Cloud, as you know, is part of the Google company business. We've been actively working with Indian companies over the last few years. I'm not going to throw global numbers at you, but in the Indian context, some of our very large visible wins have been companies like Adani, Tata's, Mahindra, in the digital ecosystem, companies like Flipkart, ShareChat. So let's take a couple of examples to give you a kind of flavor of the kind of partnerships we have with companies. So Adani has chosen Google Cloud. They were looking to reduce their carbon footprint and looking to create a system to manage their entire across businesses properties. And they chose Google Cloud because they thought Google Cloud was the cleanest cloud and the most sustainable cloud. And we built a partnership with Adani on Google Cloud. For Mahindra, the last Scorpio launch that you would have heard about was a marquee event. That launch ran on Google Cloud. There were thousands and thousands of bookings in the first minute. I think it was 25,000 bookings in the first minute and like 100,000 bookings in the next hour. I know some of my friends here have driven the Scorpio, so you would have seen that experience. It is something which is very visible, a very visible brand in the country, and that ran on Google Cloud. Shifting gears, talking about our partnership with Flipkart. Flipkart's last billion day sale that many of you would have shopped on or have bought on would ran on Google Cloud in 2022. So Flipkart is using Google to transform the experiences of about 200 million shoppers and lakhs of sellers across India in their transformation of the Indian e-commerce landscape. We partner with another very interesting company called ShareChat. Those of you who are aware, ShareChat is sort of the TikTok of India. Grew up in India, and they have a large number of users. And ShareChat came into prominence when COVID happened, and they migrated their entire IT platform onto Google Cloud, and that had like 60 million users at that point in time, which has now further grown to a much larger number of users. So ShareChat uses Google Cloud to transform the experiences of their customers, or the audiences, as you would call them, including the creators, in terms of getting better engineering, higher security, better experiences on the app, better rendering of the videos. But they also do a lot of work in creating sort of what I would call as the content economy of the country, the creator economy of the country. So ShareChat is a leading example of how the content economy in India is going broader, sort of the Bharat type of example. So with that, giving you an idea, these are just some examples. We have thousands of companies of that type. Let's shift gears and talk about the big topical topic, which is AI today. And AI is indeed changing the game on innovation. And AI is a very topical thing today, and hence I decided to go deep into a few parts of AI. There are many things, just to set context, there are many parts of the AI innovation that is around us. The first ones that you will see are the chatbots. The second, you would see content. And the third is the business use cases. So one is the consumer part of AI, which all of us relate with, but then there's another part of AI which organizations relate with, and which is more centered around use cases. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of those things as well as I go on. And I'm trying to make this work. Yes, so there are a lot of companies that already do work with Google on the AI platform. I have a video which I'm going to use to give you a sort of a glimpse. Let's see if this works in time. One more click.
The unique thing about Google Cloud is the expansive offering.
The Google partnership has taught us to lean in, to iterate, to test and learn, and have the courage to fail fast where we need to.
But also, Google's a really AI-centric company, and so there's a lot for us to learn directly from the engineering team.
Now, with generative AI, we can have a much smarter conversations with our customers.
We have been really enjoying taking the latest and greatest technology and making that accessible to our entire community.
Giving early access to Vertex APIs opens a lot of doors for us to be most efficient and productive in the way we create experiences for Uber customers.
The act of making software is really suddenly opened up to everyone. Now you can talk to the AI on the Replit app and tell it, make me a workout program. And with one click, we can deploy it to a Google Cloud VM, and you have an app that you just talked into existence.
We have an extraordinarily exciting feature in the pipeline. It's called Magic Video, and it enables you to take your videos and images and with just a couple of clicks turn that into a cohesive story. It is powered by Google's Palm technology, and it truly empowers everyone to be able to create a video with absolute ease.
Folks come to a Wendy's, and a lot of times they use some of our acronyms. The Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, they'll come in and give me a JBC. You know, we need to understand what that really means, and voice AI can help make sure that order is accurate every single time.
Generative AI can be incorporated in all the business processes Deutsche Bank is running.
The partnership with Google has inspired us to leverage technology to truly transform the whole restaurant experience.
There is no limitations.
There's no other way to describe it. We're just living in the future.
I know there was a bit of an echo, sorry about that, but I hope it gave you a sort of a view and a bird's eye view of what we are doing with global companies. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we are doing in India going forward. If you haven't caught some of the terms because of the echo, please don't mind. I am trying to go and I'll try and explain some of those terms to you as we go forward. So let's take a step back and see where the cloud industry is at. You heard some of our global customers talk about what they're doing with AI, but cloud actually started as like a buzzword about 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago. And at that point of time, cloud was more about infrastructure, was about reliability, was about creating global infrastructure, was about creating infrastructure that could scale up or down, could be highly secure. And that sort of led to a transformation of computing and a transformation in the tech world. And then from the VM era, we moved into what we call as the infrastructure era, wherein companies were just outsourcing, instead of buying hardware servers in their own premises, like private data centers, just outsourcing that to somebody because it was cheaper to run, because it was more efficient to run, because it was easier to run. From then on, that third stage is today. So we are in an era today wherein AI is sort of transforming our lives, but the foundation of that lies in the cloud business, and that's why we use the cloud foundation, and specifically when we talk about how it means and what it means for companies. Google is not new to AI. We've been working on AI platforms, large language models since 2017. I'm not going to go into the history of what Google has done and when. I'm sure all of you can Google it and check. So that's supposed to be a joke, and I hope somebody laughs there, but I hope my humor is not up to the mark today. But any which ways, let's keep going. So look, the foundations of what you see on the screen below are actually more important topics. So Google's philosophy about AI is very deep rooted in. Sorry, the spam still gets me here. Is very deep rooted in responsibility. So if you read the words there, we want to build an AI platform that has accountability to people, is built for safety and trust, is beneficial to the society as a whole, is centered around privacy. The whole concept of privacy, you would see that across all platforms, all products, all functionalities, all models that Google brings in. And our approach to AI is very heavily centered with just this one word, which is privacy. And obviously there are other bigger topics that were just talked about a little bit ago, before as well, around trying to avoid creating unfair biases, and of course upholding high scientific standards so that you can sort of enable innovation going forward, right? So let's take a moment to reflect on what AI is from two different angles. One, for me as an individual or for any of you as an individual. And second, when you step into your corporate or your jobs, and what do you do for companies or customers. So personally, AI is actually something that makes the chat GPT or the Bard equivalent. I'm sure you've heard of Bard, which is Google's AI platform, makes AI real for individuals. What I start imagining about things that I could do with AI, I can create images. My team actually created an image of me like Thor, and there is a joke behind that, and circulated it on the group yesterday, and everybody laughed off. So AI generally helps you visualize things in the personal domain, right? I want to go on a vacation. I want to find out what kind of places can I go to, so can you tell me? I'm writing say a resume or a development plan. Can AI help me do that? I want to know something about certain rules somewhere in another country. AI can help me do that. So that's the personal side of AI. When you step into your professional shoes, there is a whole lot of different contexts and issues that you are dealing with, and hence that requires a very different approach to AI. The first one is about, So there is clearly no AI for mics as yet. I think this is the best audio. Okay, let's use this. Thank you. So the first one is about accuracy. Is the data that I'm dealing with or the data that I'm churning out, is it accurate? Is the information accurate? So the accuracy is the first sort of parameter. The second is, how do you control your data? You would have heard stories about companies trying to use chat GPT, for some execs trying to use chat GPT to understand profitability of a certain product, and they found that their own company's confidential data was being thrown out by the bot. So there are horror stories like that, because of which governments are very, very careful. So it's very, very important that you have the right control on your data sets as an organization, and then you're able to handle privacy, and then you can handle your customer security as well. How do we deal with fraud? AI lends a whole different dimension to fraud. The model is powerful, the systems can be cloned. There's a whole lot of topic around information security and how that sort of evolves in the era of AI. Last but not the least, a very important topic is cost. We need to understand that running AI models, as the Honorable Minister just mentioned, is going to be expensive. This will require very, very capable and a very large amount of hardware, which hardware is obviously expensive. GPUs, TPUs, etc. So how do we control costs? And the last one is, how do we integrate existing systems and solutions? If you're running a company, or if you're running tech in a company or a business, you're not going to be replacing every system of yours or every IT investment or tech investment that you have done just because you want to now have an AI solution. So the 5 questions here are basically centered around, I'll repeat this is probably the most important part of my presentation today, is accuracy of data, is about controlling your data. It's about fraud and security, cost. There is no business without being prudent on cost. And lastly, how do you integrate with your existing setups? So if you are thinking of AI in the enterprise context, in the business context, I think you need to ask these 5 questions. And it is not just what you could do with a chatbot or create a few images here. So you will need an architecture that supports these constraints. You will need a model that supports these constraints. And you will need a partner and a provider that will be able to support these constraints. Let's move forward to talk about what is AI doing these days. And I'll try and make some of this real for you. The first place where AI is helping, and this is not us as consumers, but this is more in the enterprise context. AI is helping analysts deal with large amounts of complex data and make sense of that data. Think of the amount of data available today around, for example, just in the automobile industry or in the payment industry. There is a whole lot of data that we are generating on a daily basis. I'm sure you would have heard that 90% of the world's data that currently exists was generated in the last 2 years or 3 years or some number like that. So there is a huge amount of data to be dealt with. This needs to be dealt with in your control, your customers' data that you still want to make insights out of, but do not want to share outside for risk of compliance, for risk of security, for risk of data breaches, etc. The second one is the customer service angle. There is a lot of use cases that we are currently working on with Indian companies where they are thinking about how to use AI to enhance customer service. So think of yourself buying something on an e-commerce app. Today you click every button and you input your address and you choose the product and then you choose the payment model. think of this being able to be done in an Indian language while you're talking to the bot, instead of having to input anything. Think of this being done in a multimodal format, wherein some part of the interaction you're doing on voice, and the rest you are doing on the app with your fingers. Think of this being done in multiple languages. Think of this as in where you are able to order something, or you are able to change an order, or you are able to book a flight, all using a bot. And that bot is actually talking to you as you go. It doesn't feel like you are talking to somebody who's not a human. There are enough demos of this and enough examples of this that we are working on with Indian customers, and you should expect us to be able to showcase many of these going forward. Content generation is a huge topic, and this is the most relatable to us as, like I said, in the personal domain. So you would like to see a certain type of image. You would like to see image enhancements in the enterprise context. So let's say you're trying to buy something and I'm the seller. I'm sitting in a shop and I have no way to take a high visibility picture. So I just upload a picture, but the model is able to correct that picture, make it a high profile, high resolution picture so that you can relate with what you're going to buy. And then going forward, this will also go into scenarios like trying out a product online, or and how does it look on me, or things like that. How does a yellow car look in front of a blue house, etc., etc. There's more and more scenarios coming up. And I think the other last part is the customization of foundation models. So there are a lot of models available, but it will be limited to our own interpretation or imagination as to what we would like to do with those models. And going forward, customers will think about more and more scenarios. I'm sure we'll start with easy scenarios like customer service or analytics. But as you build in more and more data, companies will think about what to do with that data, how to monetize it, right? And that, as all of us know, is going to be the next competitive edge in the world going forward. Yes. So that sort of is a summary. I know I'm on dot on the clock. The timer is up. So to summarize for you, Google's approach on AI is centered around responsibility, is centered around having two different approaches for consumers and for enterprises. We will allow customers of ours to use their own data in their models. There's another sort of philosophical difference that I would like to highlight before I leave, is that we don't believe that one big model or one big monolithic model is the answer to all AI requirements of companies. We believe that companies would like to use different models for different use cases, and we provide them the capability of using, let's say if you are in financial services, you don't need the data for a health business. You may not. What you would like to do is have your own customers' data in your own premise and run those models in what we call as a model garden, which will have different types of models, smaller models. You will have the ability to go query a larger public model like BARD, but then you would not be sending that data inflow would be one way. You would not be sending your confidential data out. You would only be using publicly available data on a model that is already trained to use that to augment what you are doing inside your company. So that sort of summarizes the Google approach on AI. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.